everybody, it's Shanda Sumpter with the Love Trap Live, and I'm super excited to bring you today's interview with Dr. Ray, who we're going to bring on in just a couple seconds, but we've already started this interesting, deep banter about relationships and about kind of his perspective and my perspective. He's the expert, so I'm going to definitely really listen and dive into what it is that he's speaking about today, but I can already tell from the energy of the pre-conversation before we got onto this video interview that this is going to be a quite interesting conversation. So I would really pay attention. Don't multitask. See what opens up for you. Dr. Ray really talks a lot about intimacy and about, you and I opening up our hearts so that we actually get to find lasting love and have the relationships that we want. So I'm going to actually read a little bit about him because we just met recently, and so I want to make sure that I give him full credit. Not a huge bio reader, as you guys see, but I think it's important for you to know that he's a relationship coach, he's a marriage and pre-marriage counselor, and a dating expert who specializes in relationship intimacy, like I said, and communication. He has a doctorate in clinical psychology and practices in Santa Monica, which is a great place to play, here in California. And he also shares some of the same stages with Marianne Williamson, Bruce Lipton, Eckhart Tolle, which obviously tells you a lot about the way he thinks and his consciousness. And so I'm really excited to see where this interview goes today. And hopefully you have that aha opening that you're looking for in order to create that lasting relationship, stop struggling to find the right guy, and be able to create everything that you want in lasting love. So, Dr. Ray, how are you?
How you doing? Am I on?
You are on. They can all see you now. So, I'm excited to talk to you.
I thought you prefaced it by already we started bantering a little bit because we actually started doing the interview a little bit ahead of time. We're thinking, wait a minute, let's just record this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think this is going to be a great interview. I'm excited to jump into it. So, like I said to you, I'm pretty transparent. I let everybody see what's going on, and when I coach business, and obviously into my love life, doing the Love Trap Live is my opportunity to become more vulnerable with people like you, and hopefully provide the space and the opportunity for people to do that who are actually watching the Love Trap with us today. So, one of the things that I loved, I was saying to you, is I said, a lot of the experts will kind of give me guidelines on where to go with these interviews. And a lot of times I just kind of throw them out because I just don't think they're very entertaining. I don't think they're deep or present. And I was reading through some of the things that you like to talk about, and I was like, this is some good stuff. Why are so many successful, career-driven women single? I don't know. Why are we? I mean, I have my idea, but, what's your point on that?
Well, what you have to remember is that energy follows thoughts, and that our biology follows thoughts. That means that if you're in work mode, you're releasing a certain amount of hormones that are geared towards your survival. You're also releasing pheromones, which is sending out signals to let men know whether or not you're available or not. So, in other words, for example, if you are a hunter, it's not like you're going to be out there with a spear and go, hey, I'm kind of horny and available too. Basically, you're going to be in a different set of mind, I guess you could say, and that your biology is going to follow. It's that, and then secondly, something very important, and you probably have experienced this before, just like other women, and that is your amygdala, which is the part of your brain that kind of assesses circumstances as being threatening and non-threatening. If it's not turned off, you're not ready for lovemaking. You're not ready to be available. So in work mode, you cannot have that shut off. Basically, so a glass of wine, dancing, being feminine, shuts that off. It makes you more available. And so, again, biology follows thoughts. So it's important to remember it's okay to have a career. It's okay to be driven and have a goal in mind. But when it comes to trying to attract a partner, are you available or not? So that's why.
It's interesting because I have like 50% of my girlfriends who are married and happily married, and then I have this other 50% who are absolutely gorgeous and have their companies, and they're not married and they struggle to find the right man. and we have these great dialogues. And so it's interesting, like my girlfriend Stephanie, she's going to kill me for saying her name, but my girlfriend Stephanie meets men constantly. You know, my girlfriend Candace and I, we tend to shut down our energy a lot. Like it takes a really strong man to actually get in, and we typically, if we're attracted or we're interested, we stay there. And so does that have anything to do with what you were just talking about?
Yes. For example, I have dated women who are very attractive, and I find myself losing attraction, especially there's this, I'm not going to say her name so she kills me, but every time she would call me up, she was kind of in the same line of work. She would ask me about marketing. Should I do this? I have this great idea, this other opportunity. What you have to remember, if she is in her head, meaning that this is what's going on in my day and I have this great opportunity, then if it's not coming from a, I guess, feminine place, I will meet her with more masculine energy, meaning that I will match her like, it's almost like more dude energy.
Yes.
When we were around, it wasn't like I was excited, getting an erection, thinking, "Oh, I'm really attracted to you." I'm thinking, "Wait a minute, when I look at you, you're beautiful. But when I talk to you, I like almost want to high five you."
Yeah.
So it lasted maybe 2 months. And of course, the common complaint she had is she always was with guys who were more feminine, where she was taking care of everything. And so her and I, what was happening, we were clashing as far as our energies were concerned. So once again, and when I talk about masculine and feminine energy, I'm talking about what we embody. I'm not talking about your genitals. I'm talking about your way of being.
That's actually where I was going to ask you to go into, like.
Yeah, exactly. So if you and this is Chinese medicine. This is some of the things I've come to believe and learn from other teachers. But it's, for example, if a woman, even you notice this in your relationships. If you are in your head, you're stressed out, and you come home from work, and you start talking about a problem to your lover, husband, whatever, and if it's about finances or something that's more linear, there's a potential chance that it'll escalate to maybe a fight where you maybe even feel worse because you both are matching each other in the head.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Yes.
I definitely don't talk about business all the time, but I get so excited about projects that we're doing. Like, I'm excited about the Love Trap, right? This video series. I get excited about that.
So I'm going to do something to you right now, okay? So as you're excited about this,
yeah.
and I'm not going to say rambling, but you have this excitement.
Yeah.
What, as a man, I can meet you by saying, you look so excited, you look so pretty when you talk about this experience.
Yeah.
I start talking to you in a way where I'm polarizing you and matching your experience by connecting it to your body so it stays in your heart and your body, which ends up being...
By the way, you just had about 1 million women just fall in love with you. They're all looking for you now. Because that doesn't happen.
So it's where you do that. I was going to lead with a conversation about the woman coming home from work. It doesn't mean that we always have to be masculine or feminine, but I'm just kind of giving you kind of I guess you say a demonstration in which if I had a woman, she were coming home from work and talking to me about her work and she were in her head, I will listen to her, but I also might smile instead of like trying to say, you know what, honey, you should do this and this is the best way to do it. I might look at her and I might be more the feminine person where I put my hand on her heart and I'll say, do you want me to get you some ice cream? And we can sit down and talk about this. Yeah. And all of a sudden she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Ice cream, yeah. And all of a sudden she sits down. I'm like, so what do you really want to talk about or whatever? And she's like, I don't know. She starts becoming feminine because she feels like, if anything, she just wanted that connection. She didn't want me to fix things. And she falls back into her feminine. I'm the masculine person, being a giver, holding that space for her. So it's about, and it goes back and forth.
But where she doesn't have a guy like that. I mean, that, I know, I can already hear them right now.
Yeah.
They're saying he's hard to find, or that's already going on.
But there's another language that's unconscious, and that is, I have been hurt before. I've been betrayed before. Most men are pussies. I do things better than most men. Again, remember that women don't have the same yearning as they did generations ago, and that would be to take care of them, to protect them, to go to them for certain decisions.
Oh, you're going there, aren't you?
Yeah. More together. Women are a lot better in so many departments. But still, when it comes down to it, the woman's, I guess, limbic system is far more activated and emotional. So regardless of like how well they can like take care of things and delegate projects, at the end of the day, they're still going to cry more than men. At the end of the day, they're going to still experience compassion fatigue. I mean, it's hard for a woman to still fire someone. At the end of the day, it's a woman wants to make sure that this person's going to be okay. Whereas with men, you know, if there was a weak link and if someone who's wounded, you know, it would be a man saying, throw him off of the cliff or shoot him or something. Where women are thinking, we can drag him along, you know. Women are still much more emotional. So with that being said, there's a huge risk and open your heart up to be with a man. When it comes to business, think about this for a moment. It allows you to have a certain outcome that is also predictable. And you notice this too, especially a lot of women who you're working with right now, probably a lot maybe got into this business when they got divorced or they had a breakup. And because when it happened, instead of getting into their body and feeling like victim, oh my God, he left me. When you get into, once again, career mode, structured mode, it moves you from out of your body and your emotions into being a little bit more, I guess you say, the observer of your life and becoming aware. And in a way, finding a distraction doesn't mean it's a negative one, but it's where you can feel better about yourself in that moment by focusing on something else. So it's very natural. It's very natural. And in that mode also, you'll notice that women who are going to college, they're really like trying to, or maybe they're doing training in some program, more than often they'll say, I'm just not into dating right now. It's just not, because of course, think about this. Naturally, they are feminine. And then they're in this masculine mode, which is neutralizing them, which is not making them vibrationally attractive, meaning that men are also not going to necessarily approach them, but also they're not going to necessarily feel attracted to them because they have to be able to, once again, like I mentioned earlier, into that kind of more feminine place where I'm available, because what will show up is a masculine person who can ravish them.
That's awesome.
Talk really quickly because I'm like blah 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 blah.
No. It's good. It's
all right.
The first thing I just think of is like, and there's a mixture of women watching this. There's the very feminine women, you know, and then there's the women who, you know, are more masculine, you know. So, but the common thread that I hear from women who either are successful or on their journey to be successful is that typically they have a hard time finding a man that can keep up with them, that doesn't get intimidated. Now, those are their words about intimidation. It's not the guy's words, but the girls typically feel that the guys get intimidated, and then the guys typically start off strong, and then they just somehow veer off. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the true common dynamic that's happening.
Well, let me answer that one right now. I'm going to jump forward to a few things. So, first off, that women who you say are more masculine, it's very important to distinguish whether or not they're more masculine or they're in survival mode, and that is a compensation for them to protect themselves. I'm going to read some few things very quickly because this is what has also, I guess you say, created this in some women's life. For example, I have it written down here. Was both your parents artist, eccentric, more feminine? You become more career-driven, embarrassed of parents?
Say that again.
Was both of your parents artists, eccentric, more feminine? You became more career-driven because you're embarrassed of your parents? One example. 2, were you raised by a single mother who went from one man to another man, seeing her hurt all the time? Were you raised in a culture where school and getting a good career was more important to everyone? That was like your sense of self. Did you constantly move? Are you yearning for consistency and stability? Was there a parent you took care of literally because of his or her health, meaning that you were parentified? So what you were doing was learn behavior because you had to take care of mother or father. Therefore, turning into adult early on in your life, so you don't know how to get out of that mode. And so honestly, I don't feel a lot of women are primarily masculine. What I think is that a lot of men have fell short. You've had dysfunctional parents, and that women are, I guess, they're creatures in which that they're going to try and make things better. They're not like men. If you think about it, like if our culture was really run by men, there'd be men who blow up things, and then there'd be men who just sit on the couch watching TV. Women are always trying to improve themselves.
Yeah.
They're going to like seminars. They're talking amongst each other. They're, you know what I mean? They're the ones who call men on their shit. I mean, that's why men who are seeking complacency or feeling like they want less drama, they're saying, "Oh my God, you know, she's always nagging at me." Yeah, because you're lazy ass. You're not living up to like who your potential is, what you're supposed to be. And women see that. They see like a man who is putting 80%. They can see in his eyes that there's some loneliness or discontentment towards life. And so she is going to call him on that. Whereas he could be around his buddies and play, you know, bowl, and it's like high-fiving each other, and it's not like a really big deal. But women are, you know, that's why women have, I guess you say now in our culture, have like, they're like outdoing men. So I kind of digress about what you said about women who like feel as though that their men can't keep up with them. They're not attracting the men who could in the first place.
Why?
Because they're not fully, completely open and in that feminine mode to actually invite that in.
So they're in survival mode.
More survival mode, but this will even sum it up even easier. I'm going to share 3 stages of like development as far as yourself and relationships. First stage is more survival, primal, ego. It's about me. In that type of relationship, it might be the victim, the victimizer, the macho jerk, the submissive housewife. It's that type of relationship. Jerry Springer, people get jealous.
Right.
Second stage is where she develops her femininity. He develops she develops her masculinity. He develops maybe his femininity. They're a little bit more balanced. They're looking for peace. They're looking for harmony. In those type of relationships, it's maybe more in the heart, but they both are kind of more caught up with the idea of relationship, trying to seek more pleasure. It's not necessarily about growth. And in that also, there's a certain level of independence that both of them want. So they seek a partner who's not going to cause too much distractions in their life. Therefore, they go on Match.com and they see, oh, I like golf, he likes golf. He reads these types of books. I do. It's like trying to find someone who's going to be exactly like you, so there's not, too much confrontation. That relationship gets boring, and you never meet someone who's going to necessarily rock your world because you haven't opened yourself up to actually invite that in.
So funny. I was feeling bad over here. I was like, God, that sounds boring.
Yeah. Third stage is like, it's where it's about love itself. It's about knowing that you've come together to help each other out. It's knowing that it can last for a year, it can last for 10 years. But no matter what, your lover might die tomorrow. So you give it everything. You risk everything. It's a woman who's not clingy to the idea. It's not a man who thinks that it has to be a certain way. It's where you both continue to grow, and there's this passion, there's this excitement. It's a relationship in which it's about where when you're making love, there are others on this planet who also are maybe suffering. So in that conscious moment, you realize that this is all you've got. So when you leave the bedroom, that you're these high, energetic, vibratory beings who bring more love and energy to the planet. It's that type of relationship where when you get older and you see sometimes the older people, they might not be fucking anymore, but they see each other across the room. They're like, I know you and I love you.
Yeah. I'm
going to be here. And it's just kind of that. And it's not where they're like, there's never no fighting. Like, for example, my parents have been together for over 50 years, and they're like the Notebook couple. They're very like...
Oh my God, that's my movie! I've been searching for that movie on Netflix and everywhere for like 2 months, and I can't get it.
I've seen it 3 times. I've seen it. But it's in that movie, it's not like they depict a very easy relationship. In fact, she ends up going with some other guy, and then you're uncertain that they get back together, then they end up dying together, which I guess is every couple's fantasy, mostly women. And there's drama. I mean, she's losing her memory. And you remember that one scene where she's looking outside and she's saying, "Isn't this the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?" And he's looking at her and he's like, "It sure is." And there's this really magical moment where he's looking at her. My mother was picking lemons from the tree, and I saw my father out there with a cane. He's 86, and he was taking pictures of her as if she were a model.
Aww!
Nice. She was the most beautiful creature.
And I love that.
Here's the thing about that in their bedroom, because he is horrible to sleep with. I mean, obviously after 50 years, I mean, you know that where he's at. They got separate beds, but they're right next to each other, so he can go up and down, and she can do her own thing. But it's not like they're thinking, "Oh my God, this means you don't love me." It's more like, "No, you're a bastard to sleep next to."
Yeah, to me, that's like, see, that's been the conversation that's been on my mind for like a few weeks now, where I'm thinking, you know, I think it's your stage 3. Well, I would imagine it is your stage 3, where it's like a deep love of partnership. Like, one of the big things I've been taking from doing this video series is that it's really important to commit to the relationship, you know, and do the best thing by the actual relationship. And I kind of put that towards, like, even in business. Like, in business, I will have the hard decisions with the people that disappoint me on a daily basis, which is my team. I love them. They're so close to me, and that's why they disappoint me, and I'm sure I disappoint them. But I'm okay going into those conversations and saying, "I love you, but here's the deal. This is where I'm going. Are you coming?" You know what I mean? Like, I can have those really hard conversations, and it can be really intimate and amazing. But then when it comes into relationships, I find that myself, up until now, and a lot of my friends who are still single, is we tolerate. Like, we tolerate a lot of things in relationships that we would never tolerate in our businesses. And I think there's a key element in why those things fall apart because of that. Like, we don't go in and have these conversations. Like your mother didn't create something in her mind that your father was not going to be somebody that she wanted to live with for the rest of her life because she couldn't sleep with him in the same bed, when she had this fantasy that that's what it was going to look like now, you know, at 80-something years old. She didn't create a block. She created a commitment to say, here's the energetic block, here's the issue, and he did the same thing, and they worked through it, which is what I do in my business, which is anybody who's successful in life does if you're into sports or into anything. But I don't find we're doing that in relationships.
Absolutely. Even people who claim to be evolved or have read all the books and even preach it to their friends when it comes to relationships, they forget. For example, I mean, it's very important to remember that it's to ask yourself these questions. Why am I here? Why do I exist? Why am I here? Why do I exist? And oftentimes humans will say, well, it's to give to the world. It's to this. And yet, no, it's to be expression of love. It's to grow, and that's an extension of that. So your relationship can get as good as you are as far as your awareness is concerned. Now, with women and with most people, especially women, they think about this for a moment. When it comes to like women, you know, connecting truly to love, to their sexuality, it's not like where they think of masturbating or being by themselves, or it's about with a partnership. When it comes to most men, when they think about their careers or their path, oftentimes it's like this monk in the desert. In fact, a lot of times when men want to go on vacation, it's by themselves. It's not because they don't love their woman, it's just where they are energetically. Unless they're challenging themselves in life, that they don't feel some sense of purpose. Therefore, with women, they get lost in relationships and that idea, and men get lost in this idea of the path. Maybe the path is a relationship. Maybe the path is that now moment. With a relationship with women, maybe the goal is not that it failed. I mean, meaning that the goal is not how long it will last, and that You didn't. You weren't. It wasn't the one. It was the one to get you all right now. Are you happy right now after you hit the breakup? And it's kind of, I guess you say, also biologically like woven part of your DNA to be with, say, one man. I'll just give you an example. Keep giving examples. That a woman can't like go off and have a bunch of trysts. She can't have a bunch of relationships, whether she wants to have a baby or not. She doesn't want to get pregnant by the village idiot.
Yeah, she's not wired like that.
She only can have so many babies. So part of her biology is to pick the best man. So forget about like what he does for work and all that. Your biology is saying is I need a partner possibly for life. Whereas with
that's a settlement actually, because what I'm coming up against, and I'm still in debate about it. You know, because this is a major research project at the same time. I am finding that most women who have built a life, and this is built a life for themselves, kind of comes back to our conversation pre-interview about women. I should actually read the way that you put it, but the way that women need or don't need men. Sure. But this is a real thing that's up right now. It's like so many successful women are looking for men that are earning more than them or have bigger, lives than them. And then, but this new thing got brought to my awareness, which is like, I have some friends, and I actually won't say their names because people do know them, but there are some women that I know who are out doing what you do and what I do out in the world, relationship coaching and writing books and things like that, who are married to men who don't even close to make the type of income, but they have these amazing relationships because he has time. Where if they both were out there doing like crazy multi-million-dollar businesses, that you might not necessarily have time for each other. And so the dialogue going on in my head and the dialogue going on with one other girlfriend that I have that has a ridiculously large company. She has two ridiculously large companies. And we're the same age. And she's now dating a guy who I introduced her to who's awesome. But he doesn't even close to stand up to where she is career-wise. Right? And she's, almost turning herself inside out because she's like, because girls go into the future. What the fuck do I do about the wedding ring? Do I wear like a Cracker Jack box? Like these are the conversations we're having. Do we go to the nice restaurants or do we not go to the nice restaurants? And so it's kind of like, yeah, women are pre-wired to find the right man to get married to and have babies with. But there's all this complex stuff that's now put on top of it that I don't even know if it's even my thoughts on what I think is right or wrong.
That's great. That's really awesome. Yeah, you've come forth with these templates and not even yours. I mean, they started, during the prenatal period by thoughts of your own mother, by, you watching TV and being around your aunts and uncles, and here you are today. Right. So they might not be your thoughts. What about this for a moment? What if a man could open your heart up in ways that you...
So you're smiling? It's an immediate smile.
Yeah. Okay. What if a man could be kind of like, say, the magician? He might not necessarily make a bunch of money, but for some reason, he makes things fun. He can find ways to kind of challenge you to look at life differently. So it's as if there's some excitement in that. I'll give you a quick example. One of the techniques that they teach, say, men who do the whole pickup bars thing, is by trying to create an emotional charge. And of course, I guess the negative pickup artists, what they do is they teach men to do a neg, where it's kind of a compliment but has a negative connotation to it. But what's interesting in that, what happens is that, at least in this woman, in that moment, she's thinking, "Oh, this is different. There's something I can learn and grow and understand." But what if a man can constantly challenge you in your heart, where you kind of see life differently, or he could just turn things into, like, I don't know, like he could create miracles in your life. He can make you just feel better about yourself. He can open up the chambers in your heart. I mean, here's something about even love making, okay? This is really important. And this is something I know most women out there, I don't care like what they say, okay? Most women have, have not really had a man really make love to them in a way.
I was just thinking about that 2 days ago.
And I know this because the thing is that it's always been about the performance, the orgasm. There's a system to it. So once a man has that down, he'll do it every time. But the only way for a career-driven woman or a woman who's in that mode, or just in all women in general, to really have that full body orgasm is by not even have those thoughts in their mind. It's like being completely open and vulnerable and saying, this man can take me a lot deeper than I can take myself. And that woman might cry. That woman might even connect to anger because she realizes that she's been holding on to something for so long in her body. And so it takes time for a woman to cultivate that energy and that trust with that man. And I've seen it in women I've been with. I've seen that in working with women as far as my private practice is concerned, that in order for a person to really experience that heightened, I guess you say, tantric type of orgasm, sex, is by realizing that there's so much more to what I think. There's so much more to survival. There's so much more to the performance. It's like, for example, women who are given birth, that itself, I know it can be painful, but that itself is life-changing because they're vulnerable, they're opened up. They all kinds of weird things happen. They make weird sounds. I mean, body fluids. Well, imagine that in sex. Imagine that with emotions.
Yeah.
Here I am. And so, unless you know you've done that with a man, then if you haven't, I mean, if you know that you are blocked, then you haven't even experienced what you could. I think you're like thinking right now about this.
It's crazy because you actually I've had these conversations. I mean, the guy that I almost married, that's very much in the consciousness that we lived in, but
you want to do some processing right now in front of everyone?
No. No, not quite ready, but I would absolutely offline, but no, not here right now, which is actually not typically my personality, but no, I'm actually stumped right now, and this is probably one of the first times that I'm stumped. Love it.
Okay. Here's an example. Okay. You and I are having a moment that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm a man who you just met. If you and I have actually met at a bar or wherever we were at, and you were stumped, then it would be you not having an upper hand, meaning you kind of leading the conversation. It would allow me to somewhat now guide the ship, which would naturally allow you to kind of fall into your feminine. Right now you are. Right now you're kind of like going, oh. There's that moment. I just did it right now. I wasn't trying.
Yeah.
It naturally happened. So hopefully women watching this with just the conversation alone, if you're emasculating the man unconsciously, or if you're always challenging a man, of course what you're creating is these barricades for that man to show up. However, there's also a great filtering mechanism in that, and that is a weak man will crumble. I won't. Men who I know don't crumble. They're like for example, you can keep talking, and in a nice way, I'm like, okay, are you done now? So can we now dance? You'd be like,
yeah.
It'd be something that would it'd be like a monkey wrench.
Yeah.
You know what? You keep talking, blah, 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 but you want to know what? You look so beautiful, and, it'd be so, and it's not like to say, you don't have something important to say. It's that I sense you're in your head and you're trying to challenge me. It could be just like, okay, you can have the bigger dick right now than me, and that's okay, but where do you want to take this?
Yeah.
And you be seeming, of course, it has to come from a place of sincerity and love. You're like, wow, this guy has some balls. So it's about, through like the masculine and feminine dance, there is this part of all women that's innate. Think about this. Like, I guess you say like the elephant seals. The way that a female elephant seal ends up like choosing her mate is by the male who like yells louder or whatever that is. Like our primates, that there's a process in which that a woman is selecting her mate. And we as human beings do the same thing, but it's more unconscious. It's very subtle. I can look at people and I can see women moving their hair. I can see them kind of step back for a moment.
I do that all the time.
When creepy guy is getting in too far and she's stepping back, it's a dance. And so, but a man who's reading you, he's comfortable with himself. You know, he's watching what you're doing. He's connected to what you're doing. He knows what to say. And when you challenge him, he's not hearing it as, oh, this is like a masculine woman who is trying to do this and that. He might see, this is a little girl who's hurt, and this is the way she has learned to come to be. And I'm here to help her.
I watched a video that you had done around, because you teach a lot about intimacy and sexuality and all of that type of stuff. And you were talking about, I think you said something that we enjoy doing opens up that channel and that flow of experiencing that deep level of intimacy. And you were talking about people who have had trauma and things like that and can't really open up and experience that. Can we dialogue a little bit about how you open up?
Okay. Well, one exercise, by the way, I feel as though you jumped to a question when you're kind of experiencing something. So I'm just going to, again, this is, like, again, we're in front of you.
Right.
We just did that, so I know you went somewhere else, and that's cool. But, like, that would be an example where man is in tune with you. He'll stay with that. Okay, so anyway, now back to your question.
You're a brat.
Okay, so trauma, or, you know, emotional trauma, whatever it is held in the body. And that a big part of why women protect themselves is because they maybe have been raped, or they have been treated a certain way. The way that a man had made sex to them was very aggressive. And so most women look at themselves based on how our culture does, such as the way that they look. So if a woman doesn't like how her breasts look, every day when she looks at herself, she sends something negative to this part of her body, which, what's behind, you know, the breast, the heart, the lungs. And so a great way for women to kind of reclaim their body is by, one exercise I have them do is, it's either standing up or lying down. It's being literally naked. And maybe creating a ceremony where you light candles and you bring light through your body. And you connect to every body part, from your navel to your breast to your ears to your vagina, where you're actually like seeing how you really think and feel about that. Because if there's something negative there, that's a block. And when you're making love, whether you're aware of it or not, when he's entering you, and if you don't really like how you look down there, you're keeping him out to like really enter you energetically. So doing a full like mindful body scan is a great way to kind of make peace and love to your body through energy. And that would be an example. There's many other things too, but that's one.
I love that. I'm going to do that. I love that.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's awesome.
I'm going to offer you something, because I want you to go on a date with yourself. How about when you take a bubble bath today, tonight, whatever, is that make it into some type of ritual where you're actually Because if you're with a man, you'd want soft music. If you're with a man, you'd want candles. If you're with a man, there's certain things you want, maybe even a glass of wine. Why not do that with yourself? If women start who are single, who are want to attract that type of man, a great way to get into that vibrationally is take yourself out on a date. Not like it, it can't be as good as that because I'm not with someone. More that when you learn to like enjoy that yourself, you're energetically making yourself available, and that is dating yourself. Maybe even going out literally to a movie or something.
I've done that. I was in actually when I met Nick, the guy that I was engaged to, I was in Las Vegas, and I had this first realization that I really didn't know what men wanted, and so I started just dating, not with the energy of wanting to get into a relationship, but the energy of just kind of doing some research and understanding, what really makes men happy, and just starting to connect into that conversation. And one of my friends said, well, why don't you take yourself out on the perfect date so you learn more about what you want too? And so I went to the Paris Hotel, and I got this great table in the corner overlooking the fountains, and I had champagne and chocolate waiting for me when I got there, and I just sat there by myself. And I remember I wasn't extremely open at that point in my life, so it was a huge stretch for me to do that and not feel silly, showing up to a super nice restaurant by myself. And I sat there and I just journaled and I cried, and it was just
awesome.
Best activity as far as just kind of reopening myself up and getting connected. So
that's awesome. Even going to a movie by yourself that is a chick flick and crying, that's okay. Crying is okay. Because in crying, there's this yearning. In this yearning, there's this openness.
Yeah.
If you start connecting to, what you don't have in your life, that's a belief you have regardless if you were to see the movie or not. A movie becomes kind of a mirror of where you need to be.
Right.
Like, for example, when I see movies where there's this kind of father-son experience, like I go in these moments of like, oh, I wish I had a son. I want to throw a baseball with him. And there's moments like, shit. I really do that with my dad, but also there's this void I'm trying to fulfill, and because I've been immersed in this culture that says that this is the complete life, that might be going on in my mind too. Because
that's a good question. Being in the relationship field, like being in the relationship field and being in it, it's kind of like, let me flip it into my world. Being in the business world, it's like I see so many things that are real and so many things that are completely off base. And so, but I can't, I can look at somebody, I can hear somebody talking about their business at the next table, and I feel compelled to just share something with them to help them enhance it. I can't stop. So are you normal in relationships, or are you constantly analyzing things because of the field that you're in?
What is normal? Say, let's analyze that. No, I can't mess with you. I hear everything, including business, marketing, because I'm all part of that.
Yeah.
But what it is, I also have that filtering mechanism, and that is this something I want to engage in right now? Because if I feel rich in my own life, it's kind of, I don't really hear that anyway. There's nothing better in this now moment. And also in my field, I've learned to not really offer help unless someone asks me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm able to turn it off. However, where it could be challenging would be with someone who doesn't want to grow the same way.
Yeah, I get that.
For example, I hear people talk and say, he did this to me. And of course, there's this part of me wants to jump out of my skin and say, no one did something to you.
Yeah, you're not.
But it's just where they were at. I don't need to do that. But my filtering system is up when I hear a woman, if I were in front of her, and she's saying, I want to kill my dad. I'm like, oh, I don't say anything. I'm like, I'm out of there. I'm not going to stir up daddy issues, and she projects that onto me. But that's just
doesn't it essentially all come down to that, though?
Yes and no, but that's also something that we have been subjected to on an ongoing basis, so we've come to believe that. So everything's
in your field, we've been educated that it comes down to mom and dad.
Here's another way, because I don't focus on mom and dad primarily. What I look at, if I were to go to the past, is what you're subjected to, the energy, meaning that what did you sense with mom and dad? What were their survival mechanisms? What were their coping mechanisms? Because through perception and observation, you pick that stuff up, and that's how you've come to be. But it can be changed. We're not permanently assholes or, permanently needy people or whatever that is. It's
okay, what about patterns?
Patterns?
Yeah.
How do you break patterns?
Yeah, like, I definitely can say I pretty much date the same guy all the time.
Mm-hmm. Here's another way to look at it. Okay, how do you feel with each guy you date?
I keep feeling it's getting closer.
No, I'm talking about go into, like, what's the feeling you have as far as the disappointment when it ends up ending?
They're not really engaged.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, they're...
Okay, so that's
in different ways.
Yeah, and so because they're not engaged, how does that make you feel?
Oh, you're so putting me through a process.
Yes, we are. You asked.
It makes me feel. It makes me feel unimportant.
Okay.
And then it creates. I'm not a nagger, but it definitely creates, like, fuck it. You know, like, I guess that kind of goes back to that whole why women today that damn question.
You said, I'm not going to read this because it was a projection or something. I don't know. But, okay, so back to this. Thank you so much for being vulnerable. Like, you're right. You're very transparent. It's this unimportant experience you have. I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question, but also I want to take a little bit deeper. What if that's the feeling you have before you go out there, and so each man is matching that experience? Like for example, it doesn't matter if a man is a lawyer or a construction worker or if he texts you more than the other person. It's that in that relationship, if you, at the end of it, you always feel unimportant, that they're not as interested in you as you are in them, then you're shown up that way, and that they're a mirror to that. So I would practice on figuring out where that comes from. And it might go into so many different areas in your life and where you didn't feel as though that you had your parents' presence or something like that. And it's about going into that and healing that. So it's when you put yourself out there, it's here I am, I'm a goddess, I love myself, and I would love to be with you. If not, it's not a big deal. But not like, fuck it, I mean, I can get on in my life. It's more like, I love myself so much, I'm not putting all my trust into this relationship, but I'm putting trust into this, who I am and life's longing for itself. Because no matter what, who I am today is much better than where I was a year ago. I'm much more conscious than my mother. I'm much more conscious than a lot of people, and I'm doing the best that I can, or at least what I'm conscious of. It's just remembering that and not getting caught up in the human experience. Because in that, when these men are less engaged, you're also doing something that is your teacher, and that is, it's an unmet expectation. How can you meet that expectation before he shows up? And how can you meet the expectations while you're going out with this person? It'd be no different like this. There's an easier way to explain that. If I'm dating a woman who doesn't like to dance a whole lot, I'm going to be clear that I like to dance and that there's female friends I have that I dance with. That would be an example.
Right.
So no man can show up and fulfill everything that you desire. So it's like when you open your heart up to who you are in your community, you have your gay friends, you have your female friends, you're surrounded by a community and where there's so much love and fulfillment that hopefully this man meets your criteria, which, of course, you want someone who rocks you in the bedroom and someone who can challenge you in your mind and someone who's ambitious and fun and all that. But there's a lot of other areas that he might fail, and that's okay. So, and about being interested in you, think about this for a moment. I don't know how long you've been doing your business, but if you have been trying to figure out who you are and you can't continue to better yourself, That is a pattern itself, meaning that you go to these healing retreats, you read all these books, you've got every Tony Robbins CDs, that there might be this part of you thinking that you have to improve yourself, you have to improve yourself. I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. And it's to like attract that guy rather than you realize, like, wait a minute, I'm fucking rocking right now. I really am. It's not about being important. It's just that this person can't see beyond his own bullshit. He's insecure with his own life. He doesn't really have purpose in his own life. So he can't love me more than he loves himself. And right now, he sees himself that as if he's not reached his destination. Checked out. Most men,
right there.
Yeah, most men are looking and looking. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. So when a woman shows up, it's a reflection of that.
Yeah.
He can't put that time into you, because if he does, he feels as though that it's distraction and he can't continue on his journey. Right. Goes back to what I said originally about 37 minutes ago and 47 seconds, that if it's about the journey, but the love.
Yeah.
Women, it's about the love and the journey. And that's how we come together.
I love it. I could talk to you all day long. It's awesome. We're coming to the end of our interview, which is kind of sad, but you know, you definitely took it to a level that I think all of us needed to hear, and I thank you so much for that. And I know that you have an opportunity for us to dig deeper into this conversation. So can you explain a little bit about your gift for everyone?
Okay. If you go to my website, it's raydoktor.com. That's my real last name. I'm not easy. I wouldn't put a K on it. It's raydoktor.com. You're going to probably have that somewhere.
Yeah, we will.
raydoktor.com. And when you go there, you can opt in and you can get free videos, including exercises that can help open up your body. I have this one, the exercise I described with the white light is there. And also there's a few other ones that are fun. And there's this one that's great for women, and it's a rebirthing process where you hold yourself, your womb, and you kind of visualize yourself going back into your mother. Because keep in mind, her thoughts about herself, her body, and men, you know, your thoughts started there. It's about cutting that psychic umbilical cord and being able to free yourself to create your new template of the love you want to attract.
I love rebirthing breathing.
Cool.
Okay, so just hold on one moment, Ray. Everybody, I hope that you really enjoyed today's interview. I enjoyed hosting it for you. I'm just going to keep encouraging you to show up every day, watch the videos, take the time. They're about 45 minutes long. This is a journey that I'm on right now, and I'm letting you see into it, and I'm taking the time to be able to find who myself and my company feels like are some of the best conversations and the best thought leaders around these conversations. Both women entrepreneurs who are in lasting love relationships have some great insight for us, and then people like Ray today who are just taking us to a whole new level in conversation on what's really going on that's preventing us from stepping up into the right relationship or choosing the right people or thinking you're enough or being able to really create that love that you're looking for in your life.
If you're being offered some free tools that could get you unstuck, would you be interested? If so, visit raydoktor.com and receive your free transformational exercises. Imagine starting each day feeling deeper love, a clearer mind, and being able to say to yourself, I really feel good. My clients love these, and so will you. Get them now for free at raydoktor.com.